Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You're here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. Got a tech tree spotlight of the Tier 7 Battlecarrier Nebraska. We're on two brothers in a domination match. The Nebraska is currently available in early access through War Gambling Crates. And I spent my hard-earned money and got it for you and barely squeezed out this match before I left for a work trip this week. So I wish it was a better match, but it's a match in the Nebraska. That being said, I don't have all the upgrades for the Delaware. So if I'm not successful in getting them all, that review may be delayed a week. Just letting you know. All right, here on Two Brothers, we got this gap here, and I just got this feeling that the enemy team is going to go right up the middle in the gap. So I'm going to line up my airstrike here and shoot the gap with my airstrike. All right, going to the history books, courtesy of Wikipedia. When the North Carolina was designed, blah, blah, blah. It made 3 studies. They're all fast battleships. Then they produced 5 more design studies. Designs D&E were attempts at fast battleships with 16-inch guns, displacement greater than the Washington Naval Treaty allowed. But we're not concerned with those. We're concerned with design F, was a radical attempt at a hybrid battleship carrier with 3 catapults mounted 4 and 8 14-inch guns aft. So essentially the reverse of what you see here on the screen in terms of the layout. Here, the stupid teammate of mine just went hard a port right off the bat and rammed into me. Great job, buddy. Go fuck yourself. All right, back to Wikipedia. Design F was reportedly favored by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or possibly his wife, because he wasn't really in charge for the latter half of his presidency. But since this was in the beginning, I would say he probably was. It looks like it was designed around 1935 or 1936. Catapult launch aircraft were decidedly inferior to carrier or land-based aircraft because of the floats used on the airplanes. Nothing came of the design. So then Ouija waved their magic wand and said, if necessary, the project could be converted into a full-fledged hybrid battleship carrier with the hangar transferred to the stern and a flight deck created. You know, I have to wonder on all of these ships that have this battle carrier design, if there's no AA emplacements on the super firing turret, why doesn't the flight deck go over the super firing turret? You know, the Delaware and I believe the Louisiana has the flight deck go over the rear super firing turret. So why doesn't the flight deck to the front go over the front super firing turret? There's nothing there. There's no AA there. You know, you could save 10 pounds by making the roof of that turret really light, because you'd have the flight deck over it, and that would act as sort of spaced armor. Here we're looking at my airstrike here in the Vanguard. I thought this destroyer was going to block my stuff. He teed up the Vanguard for me, and then he killed the Vanguard before my beautiful airstrike could do anything, and now I'm mad. All right, so that is the history of this ship, utterly made up out of thin air by Wargaming's greatest minds, based on a Project F that would have looked much different. The front of the conning tower would have 3 catapults to launch airplanes from, and the rear, not the front, the rear of the ship would have had 2 4-rifle turrets, 1 super firing. So really, kind of, if you put this in reverse and took the flight deck off, That's what it would look like. But as you know, catapult planes are pretty much worthless in this game, and that's why they didn't make that. So good call. It would have been hideously ugly and terribly inept and worthless. And so now we have a battle carrier drawn up by the greatest minds at Ouija, which is clearly far superior. All right, we really haven't done anything of note this match, except for shoot down some planes. So we're going to actually fire our guns, and we're going to actually do our airstrike. And because I'm too dumb to zoom in, we do get a citadel hit with our guns, and we do get a couple of torp strikes with our airstrike. That Nebraska is on its last leg, but we're not going to get that kill, of course. There it goes. Is that a carrier that we just passed? I think we just did pass the aircraft carrier. All right, Flandra shooting at that. I want to say, I think this guy might have a secondary build. Flandra, if that sounds normal. Maybe not this match, but there was some match where the Flandra was engaging me from way out there, and I was just like, is this a secondary build Flandra? I was like kind of mystified for a minute. I know there's a destroyer off to my port side again. We're just going to ignore, keep shooting at the Flandra. And that was a pretty good hit. I would like to think it is. There is the destroyer AM Sumner. We were just throwing caution to the wind. We did switch to HE very late. Our secondaries, as you can see, are going off. We were not the subject of the torps, so we're going to dodge. And we're going to actually pull hard a port here. I think the Flandra's already dead. I think it's dead. We're going to throw some torps out there for an airstrike, but I've also got 8 rifles of HE waiting. The AM Sumner finishes off our teammate, and we will finish off the AM Sumner and dodge some sort of attack at the same time. All right. I really wish this was a little less ungainly sometimes. I know there's a ship in there. I just can't get a good angle at it. So after trying for a little bit, we're going to ignore. All right. Hey, I just want to let you know, at the end of this video, I'm going to go into the calendar and take a look at the new commander and tell you how I think you should build out the commander for these ships. Hopefully I remember all of my thoughts at the time I was doing that. Here is the Pobeda. Looky here. What happened? All right, that was clearly not enough lead time. We were going to engage the Pobeda. I thought that was going to be a citadel hit and the Pobeda would be dead. Instead, it was not. We are going to turn in and dodge these torpedoes by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And we are going to keep moving in. As you can see, maybe I did get one or two torpedo hits, but not what I was hoping. You can see a couple of them did miss. All right, second salvo at the Pobeda. There is a hit to Citadel. We are well over 100,000 damage. These battle carriers are great damage dealers. I'm not saying they're great at doing other stuff, but they're great at cranking out the damage. I would play them a lot like I would play a Nelson. Avoid giving broadside. Fire these guns whenever you can. And when in doubt, switch to HE. Because you're putting 8 rifles on the enemy target. Here, we're going to finally catch a glimpse of the Pobeda who's trying to sneak around the island. And that will not happen, sir. And we're just aiming for the breadbasket. There is kill number 2. We're up to 120k as we take his last hit. We really haven't taken a lot of damage, just 9,000 damage after our heal. There is one enemy ship left, and boy, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna biff this ending so hard. It is gonna be absolutely embarrassing. We're just gonna throw some torps out there. I couldn't get the right angle that I wanted due to the heading of my ship. That's how this airstrike, the parameters of the airstrike heading is based by the heading of your ship. So I couldn't get it the way I wanted it. Here is the turrets. I think he's going to run away. Am I going to shoot for the bow? I see my teammates trying to pinch. I shoot for the bow. I get a couple of teeny little hits that don't do a lot. And I'm thinking, well, that's okay. I'm just going to go around the corner here and finish him off. And the answer is no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to biff so hard, you will feel embarrassed on my behalf when you see how bad this is. All right, there's his torps. Like that dude riding on the elephant who swung his little crop at the tiger. People watch True TV, you know what I'm talking about. Way too early, Mr. Turpitz. All right, and I'm going to shoot, and I hit all hull, and they're all ricochet. How embarrassing. And then, of course, somebody else gets killed because I'm a moron. All right. Well, don't go too early like he did, but aim a little bit higher if you're me. All right, here we are on the victory screen. I had to check to make sure this is worthy of you guys watching. We are going to go back. 123,993 total damage, 40 main battery hits, 4 torpedo strikes. We shot down 33 airplanes. I do have this kind of built for AA. Couple of kills, couple Citadel hits, 346,694 silver, 7,700 ship XP, 8,000 commander XP in Nebraska. There we are at the top of the board, 2534 base XP, 2 big kills, leading the way for our team. Although I will say it looks like everybody on our team contributed and did a good job. Here in the port, let's take a look at the ship. We are in early access. We went with AA Guns Mod 2, Damage Control System Mod 2, Concealment System Mod 1, Artillery Plotting Room Mod 2, and we are fully upgraded on the ship. I want to show you this airstrike mod. Very important to mount this first as you're trying to level this up. You don't free XP through. As you can see, you get an extra plane, meaning an extra torpedo. Your attack range goes up by 500 meters. Your payload delivery time shortens by 0.4 of a second. You lose 400 points of torp damage for each individual torp. You gain 300 meters in torp range, and you gain 5 knots in torpedo speed. So as you're going through Nebraska, the first upgrade you should mount, in my opinion, is this airstrike pod. Simply, excusez-moi, because it makes the airstrike that much more powerful. All right, taking a look at the loadout. 4 charges of the repair party, 4 charges of the observation seaplane. They changed the name from spotter plane. Catapult fighter's kind of worthless in my opinion. So I would go with the observation seaplane, formerly known as the spotter plane. Epic ship XP booster and epic battle booster for main battery range, mostly. If there was a flag just for main battery range, I would only mount that. Type 2 temporary camo, 3-year strong flag. Here in the specs, 71,100 hit points with our build and a 23% torpedo damage reduction. Your planes are the SB-2C Helldiver, 3,000 hit points each. When upgraded, there are 4 planes in the attack unit. 90 seconds to restore. 7,600 torp damage. We already talked about that. Already talked about the range, 2.3 kilometers, and the speed, 45 knots. Main battery, 2 triple turrets. Goes out to 18.3 kilometers, 28-second reload, 34.6 second turn time. HE shells, 5,700 max HE shell damage with a 36% fire chance. AP shells, 13,100 max damage. Secondary battery, 10 twin 127s. Reloads in 6 seconds. The range is 5 kilometers. 1,800 HE shell max damage with a 5% fire chance. AA defense, you can see your secondaries are dual purpose. Your longest ranging AA up to 6.8 km. Your best AA, the 20 millimeter Oerlikon guns, 255 damage per second. very short range, 2.7 kilometers. Maneuverability, 32.4 knots, 760 meter turning circle, 16.2 second rudder shift time. I don't think you need the steering gears. Well, I have some people seen they mount that. I don't think you need it. Concealment, 12.8 on the surface, 10.8 from the air, 14.4 if you happen to find yourself in a smoke screen. Take a look at the stats. Well, grinding this without it being fully upgraded. 12 matches, 5 wins, a 0.7 kill death ratio, just under 70k damage per game. Our best game in terms of damage and XP is the game you just watched here in Nebraska. Taking a look at the armor viewer, a very below water citadel, very tough to hit. Put this bow back on. It is going to be a 32 millimeter bow. Turrets and barbettes. Turret faces are sloped. Turret faces and barbettes are heavily armored. Putting the casemate back on, your armor belt just at the waterline and slightly above it, 305 millimeters. Torpedo protection is all down, way below the waterline. Your deck is 32 millimeters, which may ward off some Enterprise bombs. And that is the armor profile of Nebraska. Here's our commander, Boss Dewey, again behind the wheel. Base trait, increase the torp detectability range. We got Ernest King and Cunningham as our inspirations. Row 1, no fly zone. Row 2, crisscross. Row 3, Velocious. Row 4, reaching out, XXL. I don't think hidden threat works for the airstrikes. I would need to see clarification from Ouija. Same thing with these other torp skills. If I knew that they applied to the airstrike, I would think about running them, but I don't, so I won't. All right, let's go into the calendar and take a look at Joseph Reeves. And base trait is football helmet. This guy invented the football helmet. Increases the damage. This is kind of like a base commander build, and I actually like that. You might be able to use them on an aircraft carrier. Unique skill in row 1, agile seagull, traverse speed of the main battery, and rudder shift time increase. I could see using that, but I think I would probably stick with no fly zone or not the one for nuisance. For me, I'm going to choose no fly zone. All right, 2 unique skills in row 2, bird's eye view, airstrike attack range, and main battery range. That looks really useful. One-way ticket, just torp damage straight up. And we've got gyrating drill bits. That takes away the speed. I hate to say it, but I think I would choose the one to the far right there. All right, here in row 3, you got firefighter. I would never use on second thought. And sea wings, aircraft cruise speed, movement speed of the ship. I mean, it depends on if you want to be more survivable or if you want to go faster. That's up to you. Here in row 4, iron feathers, maximum hit points, airstrike hit points. I don't think that one's as good as our other choices, so I would not use iron feathers. Naval aviator, another unique skill. Speed of torpedoes launched, arming time of torpedoes launched, damage of torpedoes launched by the airstrike. Yes, I would be using naval aviator if I had this commander on these battle carriers. Here in the unique skills, of course, I would go with fight fire with fire. In my losses, I found myself getting burnt down like crazy. Anyway, that's the Nebraska, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video and the look at Joseph Reeves. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I will see you next week. Take care.